This week's edition of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by GameV.com.
GoDaddy.com.
And Netflix.
You only sing because you sang. Oh! Now start using your head. That's that lump that's 3 feet above your ass. Are you crying?
No.
Are you crying? Are you crying? There's no crying? There's no crying in podcasts?
Why don't you leave him alone, Alex?
Oh, you zip it, Danny! Roger Hornsby was my manager, and he called me a walking pile of pig shit. And that was when my parents drove all the way down from Michigan to see me host a show. And did I cry?
No.
No! No, and you know why?
No.
Because there's no crying in podcasting! Because there is no crying in podcasting! No crying!
What's the matter, Jeffrey?
He's crying, sir!
I didn't mean to do that.
Perhaps you chastise him too vehemently. Good rule of thumb? Treat each of us as you would treat your own mother.
You know you look like a little penis with a hat on?
3 rad dudes with nothing better to do get abducted by the crew of the Starship Alpha 2. They're from the planet Q, which, due to a space-time loop, is stuck in 82 and must be rescued. They need our heroes to discuss the latest news and give their reviews of games and movies too. Sure hope you're not confused. We swear this is all true, not just the premise to the Totally Rad Show.
Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Totally Rad Show, episode number 55. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
Totally Rad Show is a weekly dose of all things rad. We come in a small cellophane package, much like Cabbage Patch Kids. Sometimes you're gonna get the rad one that lives in the garbage. The other times you're gonna get the annoying one who's like the rich kid.
You mean a garbage pail kid?
Yeah, they didn't all live in a garbage, did they? They were just weird, like Snotty Sally.
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah,
and she
yeah,
had
yeah.
boogers coming out and all that stuff.
My friend and I once spent an entire weekend writing new Cabbage Patch or Garbage Pail Kid names. I was obsessed with Garbage Pail Kids.
You had such an interesting childhood. Every time you say
I'm with
things
you on
that you
that,
did, I was like, you did too?
No, with the garbage pail kids, I love garbage pail kids.
No, but you made new ones?
I don't.
Somewhere I
could've-
still
could
have a list of 100, and you know, the whole thing with Cabbage Patch Kids was that they were unique. No two are
Right,
the same.
right.
So the thing with Garbage Pail Kids was there was always 2 that were the same. So each card picture had 2 names. And so we wrote a list of 100 names, and there was two for each
Oh
one.
my god! Did you guys?
Wow.
The movie was creepy, dude.
I never
I
saw
never
it.
saw the movie.
Mackenzie
obsessed with
Aston.
those-
It was
I never saw the movie.
so scary.
I should
I'm sure
go
it's
see it.
lame now. It's out on DVD.
No, but still.
I'll tell you about it.
We also
Netflix.
want to thank our
Background.
Jacob Matthews.
It's insane.
Yes.
Dan
Yeah, it is
advertised
now,
last
Dan.
week, which amazing feedback from last week's episode.
I know.
Yeah.
I think the competition for best background of the next year, of this current year, might already be over.
I was actually going to say.
This is
You know
incredible.
what this is? This is the 300 of this year. 300 came out early
Mike,
2007. We'd forgotten.
This one, this is incredible.
Don't forget this one.
But you know what else? Maybe it's a challenge for people to meet this level.
That
Set
would
the new
be-
bar.
The gauntlet has been thrown yet
Animated.
again.
It's got rad stuff everywhere.
Octopi.
So Jake,
Actually,
thank
just
you.
one, but-
He's
Well,
awesome.
it's got many pies.
Tentacles. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
Well, shall we get into the show, gentlemen?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
This week in movies, we're talking about CJ7.
It's the sequel to Leonard Part 6.
Oh, I love Leonard Part 6.
Really?
Terrible movie. I love it. When it's ballerina shoes? I mean, as a kid, you're like all this crazy stuff. Okay, CJ7 is a Hong Kong film made by a prolific Hong Kong film director, comedy director Stephen Chow, who hit international acclaim with Shaolin Soccer and then American acclaim with Kung Fu Hustle, and now he has made CJ7. Troped the spoofed the sports film Shaolin Soccer, spoofed the Kung Fu movie, you could say, the Shaw Brothers Kung Fu movie with Kung Fu Hustle, and now sort of does the child fantasy, the E.T. genre with CJ7 about a poor family, father and son. Father can't afford to get anything for his son, and so he finds him a new toy to be like all the other kids with the new toys, but it's not actually a toy, it is an alien. That's the movie. Jeff?
I think it's Jeff.
Did hilarity ensue after that, or?
Well, I'm a huge, huge Stephen Chow fan. I love Shaolin Soccer, and I loved Kung Fu Hustle even more. I love his sort of Warner Brothers cartoon-esque live-action antics. If you haven't seen Kung Fu Hustle, it's definitely worth renting. CJ7, on the other hand, was a major disappointment. And you've been talking about it for a long time, and you kept wanting us to see it. And after I saw it, I was like, why did Dan? I mean, I know why, because Stephen Chow, his movies are always worth attention. Mm-hmm. But boy, was this movie not good. It really felt like he was phoning it in most of the time. He's barely even in the movie. It's not about him. They find a really great child actor. The kid who plays the lead is very good. But what he's doing, it's just ripping off E.T. and there's like Sixth Sense it rips off a little bit, and he even like references his own. There's a moment where the kid does the exact Kung Fu Hustle thing with jumping off the bird. The logic of the movie doesn't hold together. You know how we talk about science fiction movies having to have rules to make them. Nothing makes sense. It's pandering and sentimental, and I was very disappointed by it.
That was very concise. Yeah, I'm going to say that I also am a big Stephen Chow fan. Loved Kung Fu Hustle. I thought it was great. And one of the things that I think really failed in CJ7 is what I actually liked very much about Kung Fu Hustle, which was Kung Fu Hustle, we're in this non-realistic world. We're in this sort of it's maybe like the 60s or 70s China, but it's like not really China. I mean, it's like clearly you're in this fantasy world. And so all these fantastic things happen, and it's amazing. It makes sense. Mm-hmm. And here, you're in a world that is the real world. It is real. So when these fantastical, crazy things happen, that is sort of his, it's like you guys were saying with the Warner Brothers cartoony stamp that is his thing. Yeah. It completely doesn't make sense. Tonally, it's incorrect. I actually thought this movie was quite disturbing. There were some moments where I was like,
child abuse?
Oh my God. He gets this little dog. He wants it to do one thing. It doesn't do that because it's a dog. He hits the dog. It doesn't do it again. He waterboards the dog. He doesn't do it again. He shoves the dog in a bag, beats it with fruit, and throws it in the garbage.
What about the father locking his child in a closet when he's misbehaving?
You can understand some
there's
sort of cross-cultural
There's a lot of cultural things, and there's
the
also
child stuff is cultural, but the dog stuff is where I draw the line.
That too, I think is cultural as well.
So I'm going to say, overall, I did not like this movie at all. I thought tonally it was off. I thought there were moments that were kind of funny, but it just was wrong genre for this guy's talent. Because I think he's talented.
Man.
Well, it's hard for me to say I'm a fan of Stephen Chow because having seen some of the movies from the majority of his career, which is all his earlier Hong Kong stuff, that was before he sort of broke through, terrible. I mean, God of Gamblers, God of Cookery.
You didn't mention any of those at the beginning in your intro.
Terrible.
I've only seen
they are liked by many many people, but I just don't get that sense of humor. It's very whenever I used to watch every other Hong Kong film, that when it had a sort of a joke in it, you feel like, oh, that sense of humor is from a different culture.
Right.
This movie was the resurgence of that for me. I really didn't like the movie. The reason why I just kept on reminding you guys to see it because we were talking about it, because it's a follow-up to Kung Fu Hustle, which we talk about on the show all the time.
Yeah.
Not because I saw it and loved it. But there were and I completely agree. You said exactly what I was planning on saying, which is I think what made those other things work was that they weren't grounded in reality.
Right, exactly.
Although Shaolin Soccer kind of was, but something about it was just genuinely funnier.
Yeah.
But this was like it just was not funny. There were, however, some almost worth watching, I think, for a couple moments. I mean, renting it works. YouTube, look for, and they probably posted the funniest moments in the movie. But there were definitely some genuine spoofs of genres that, twists that cliches that he preyed upon that I thought were hysterical. Also, these movies are genuinely not known for good CG work, and I did think the CG alien was good and adorable design and just really, really smart and clever, but ultimately
It's also really made for kids. It's really a young...
or a different culture.
Yeah,
but
I think it was a different
What are you
culture.
saying about that other culture?
No, I mean, that was
No,
just
I agree.
from the
Yeah.
filmographies. Okay, that's CJ said.
Glad we all agreed, by the way.
By the way, we should say that Alex is in Amsterdam right now, and we came with him.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we brought the green
Amsterdam.
screen with us. No, so we're shooting this in an awkward time, so there may be some alarming news that we are not reporting or speaking about because...
I'm in the land of milk and honey.
Yes.
Which is not Amsterdam.
actually, yeah.
I'm in the land of hookers and blow.
So what are we talking about?
So
what
we
news are we
are
talking
talking
about?
about is something very interesting. I thought would garner an interesting conversation.
I'm gonna lean back like this.
Is that they've been reporting? Something we've never talked about on the show is that apparently movie going is in a recession. This has been happening for the past
economy is in a recession.
5 years. Is that ticket sales have dropped. And that's something I've had in my mind for a while. And then there was this news about theater chains now raising the prices of tickets and raising the luxuries of the theater-going experience, like having armchairs and chairs with headrests and footrests and concierge service and sushi and wine and all that stuff to combat the luxurious home theaters that many of us are now acquiring, because they attribute that to the declining ticket sales. What do you guys think of this in general? What do you think of? Do you think we are in this recession? What do you think would solve this recession? Do you think this is a solution to it?
Well, I think we should be very clear that this, one of the things that you read out in the article, which I agree with, is that the entertainment industry is sort of, economy proof, for a large part. I mean, during the Depression, Hollywood was one of the only places where there were jobs, and those jobs stayed plentiful throughout the entire thing. I actually just met somebody who was a carpenter, whose father was a carpenter in Ohio, and he literally moved to Hollywood to become a carpenter during the Depression because he said, no matter what's going to happen, everybody's going to need to see a movie. It's
beautiful.
And he
I
worked,
love that.
and then he worked making backdrops for Disney and
awesome.
GM and all that stuff. And that is true. So we should separate those two. But one of the things I'm going to say is, I agree wholeheartedly that I think home theaters have a lot to do with it. My dad is somebody who doesn't like to go see movies, but he went to see movies because he loves movies. He just hates the experience of going to a theater, not being able to, just control your environment and he just never liked it. But I remember as a kid, we went and saw tons of movies with my dad. He's never been into a theater since his TV even remotely caught up. He just stopped going. Because he's like, screw it, I'll just wait for it to come on DVD.
And
It has nothing to do with
That wait has
recession.
gotten a lot shorter than it used to be.
And
Oh, boy.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Now it's like a month after it's out in the theater.
it used to be 6 months at minimum. Now, do you think that this plan of action will get your dad to the
when you
theater?
were reading it out loud,
Yeah.
the single thing I was thinking was, would this cause my dad to go to the theater? And the bottom line is, no. I don't know if there is anything. And if anything, it's just going to get harder and harder to get him back in as the TVs become... I mean, he's got what does he have, like a 50-inch Pioneer Elite plasma TV? I mean, at the end of the day, for a guy sitting... Oh, it does it? Right. So, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day...
Is it old? Is it like 5 years old?
No, he just got it, the
Okay,
Pioneer
never mind.
Elite plasma.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? Like, as that experience When it's just you and you've got your bottle of wine that costs you $10 rather than the glass of wine that's going to cost you 13 or 14, and you can pause it and go take a leak or go upstairs and eat something. You know what I mean? Like, it's just really hard to break into that, to break against that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think this is a really complicated subject, and there's a whole lot of tangential, economics and stuff.
Yeah.
The thing you're not bringing up is that ticket prices, even accounting for inflation, are already going up. I mean, I think it was something I heard. I think I heard 30% higher, even accounting for inflation, than like 5 years ago. It's ridiculous. And are we getting 30% better movies? No. What are we paying for exactly? And there is something to be said about the idea of paying a luxury price for a luxury experience. And I am always one of those people that it's worth it for me to pay a little extra money if I can ensure that people will S the F up when I'm sitting next to them. You know, that experience to me, and I think all these things are related in the sense that as movies come out earlier on DVD and as people get more common experience in watching it at home, they do feel like they are at home when they're out, and then they talk in the movie theater and they do the things and they answer their cell phones and all that crap that makes me insane. So it's all this weird bleed over. I'm not going to pay $30.
Oh, no way.
To go to a movie to sit in a recliner.
We didn't mention it was $30.
Well, that was the kind of
One
money
theater,
they threw out.
yeah.
I don't know.
And there's
I think this is
another-
all,
yeah.
But there's a whole nother side, which is one of the things that Hollywood's been working on, the MPAA has been working on a long time, is the idea that if a movie is really anticipated, like Dark Knight or something, that movie should be more expensive than a movie that isn't. If I'm willing to pay more, I should be forced to pay more. All movies shouldn't be the same price.
Talk about a slippery fucking slope, man.
It's a huge topic that it's scary for us as the consumer, because if supply and demand rules are in place, then yeah, the demand for that movie and the demand to see it the weekend it comes out is much, much higher than CJ7 or any other movie.
Well, and that's, I mean, the unfortunate thing is, that's true. You could make a hell of a lot more money doing that. But the bottom line is, it just doesn't seem fair. It's that whole thing.
Well, it doesn't seem fair because we're already
right. What was that thing we were talking
paying
about a while back where it was like we were used to that? I think it was something we were talking about with licensing. Oh, it was digital downloads and stuff like that. Where we were like, we were talking about leasing a car versus owning a car, and we were like, well, yeah, it's because we're used to owning a car.
Right.
So then leasing is, once they say now you're leasing, it's like a total mind shift.
Right.
That's I'm not ready to do.
What you're saying, what raising the prices and changing it based on the quality of movie reminds me of is theater. It's like going to see a Broadway play is more expensive than seeing an off-Broadway play.
That's true.
Right?
Well, yes,
Okay.
but I mean, not by much.
And it also reminds there's something that I like about this. There's not that much I like about it, but there's something that I like about it in that even now, movies is a night. And it was that back in the day, and that went away. It was that in like the 50s when it was like the night out, you would dress up. And you dress up to go to the theater. And there's something in my heart, because I had this
in your lifetime,
movies.
it's never been like that.
Exactly. And but now it's starting to sort of be that way. When I go to the ArcLight and I pay, like I'm kind of all right with, and I like you, I mean, I don't, it's annoying when people answer their cell phones and all that stuff, but I need my guaranteed good experience. We're lucky enough to live in a city with a theater like the ArcLight, where you pay, that it's going to be a huge screen. I used to hate playing roulette, going to movies, and I was like, I hope I get screen 1 or screen 11. I remember that Regal. Screen 1 or screen 11, because if it's not, I'm going to have bad sound.
But
and
I
bad
already
picture.
feel like I'm playing roulette based on who sits next to me.
Yeah, most of
Well,
I'm like, somebody sits down and they're blah, 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 and it's like, I just lost the lottery.
And I really want to say too, though, that I succumb to feeling okay with watching movies in HD now. But really, all it does is just make me feel a little bit less guilty for not seeing in the theater, because they're really, as much as people think that, well, it looks just as good in HD, it really is. When you're seeing even in a dramatic film, I usually say, well, if it's a big spectacle, I gotta see in the theater because but even seeing Diving Bell and the Butterfly and the person's face is 10 feet tall, it's not as different than 1 foot on your HD 50-inch television.
By 9 feet.
I mean, it's undefinable, it's psychological, that experience of sitting there and looking up. I mean,
with projectors. I mean, people are starting to make home theaters that look like frickin' theaters.
Yeah, but it's still,
which I'm gonna do.
There's also a different mental thing when You know, they say to help people sleep better. I'm sorry, this is long-winded, but I need to say this. They say it's better if people having a problem sleeping to only sleep in bed. To not do any work in bed, don't read in bed. Bed is for sleeping. Otherwise, you associate it with these other
hopefully
things.
it's for more than sleeping.
Well, yes.
That's what couches and tables were invented.
But a reason why I bring this up is because there's something about paying for a ticket, driving, parking, going, and sitting there and watching. Psychologically, there's a big difference between that than watching that same movie right where you're on your computer, where you can get up, where you can pause, you can answer the phone. You're doing it where you watch TV, which is much more passive than watching a movie. It's
Well, that's a whole nother issue.
psychologically different.
That brings up a whole nother issue of the idea of attention span and how we separate our attention and youth and all that, which I don't want to get into. But I think the one thing that we have learned is that I do not want to sit on Alex's couch or eat off his table.
Amazing.
So way back in 2004, one of the very first, what was then next gen, which is now our current gen, video games to be announced was a game from Digital Extremes called Dark Sector. And then it'd actually be really cool if we'll get the original video announcement because it's very different. Because they made a big deal at E3. They released a video and said this is all in-game footage. You know, it's a whole new direction. Well, the game, almost 4 years to the day later, has been released on the PS3 and the Xbox 360, and it's pretty different from what it was originally supposed to be. It was set in space at that time, and some of the character designs are still similar, but now what we've got from Digital Extremes, I said that right, the guys that gave us
D3.
Unreal Championship, and
Puzzle Quest?
what? No.
D3.
No, Digital Extremes, nothing to Puzzle Quest.
Yeah, I looked up the D3. It says on the game, it says D3, and I looked them up. They did Puzzle Quest. I remember I knew the logo.
Really?
They did Puzzle
Yeah, me
Quest.
too.
Yeah.
I remembered I saw the logo before.
Yeah.
Published by?
I don't know that.
Digital Extremes is the production company. They did Unreal Championship and Pariah.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Sorry, don't
That's
mean to
all-
throw you off. But I thought you were going to intro by
I
saying,
would-
we love Puzzle Quest, and here's the next. So I don't know the details of it, though.
Okay, so anyway, we have Dark Sector, which is take 2 parts Gears of War, 1 part Krull, season with a little bit of Metal Gear Solid, and you have Dark
And
Sector.
Smallville, the Lex Luthor guy does his voice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
So it's a third-person action game. You've got a glaive, which is like what Krull uses, that 3 thing. You're basically being infected by some sort of crazy thing, and you got to kill some dudes. The story, So, Dan.
Yes.
I should say, we only played the PS3 version because Alex's Xbox is still.
Well, also, that's the only version we got. I didn't know
Well,
we weren't.
also because your Xbox is dead, right?
Oh, is that what you asked for the PS3 specifically?
Yeah.
Oh, good. 'Cause it-
So what did you think of it?
Okay. So yeah, first of all, glaive is what they call the thing in the Krull. It's like saying lightsaber. Like they're using the frickin'.
Well, I think that existed before Krull too, right? Didn't it?
Oh,
I don't think
maybe
Krull
it
invented
is.
that.
I thought it did. You're right.
a
It's
lot of
probably it's like
misunderstandings
a
today.
comma or a screama. It's like the actual name for the weapon. I didn't think about that. Okay. So before seeing the box for this game, you just describing Dark Sector, I was like, okay, shovelware, right? Then when I saw the box, I remembered something. I remember seeing a trailer for this or something back in the day. So you go, oh, okay. And then I put it in and I'm like, this is not shovelware. This looks great.
Yeah.
The graphics were awesome. I was like, holy crap. And then as I start playing, I'm like, okay, it is shovelware. But then cut to basically six missions later, and I'm like, I had to, basically I love the game. I love the game. I don't know why, all of a sudden, I loved the game. It did everything, okay. The thing about it that it cracked for me is whenever they promote many games, and specific, I remember Ratchet & Clank is promoted by power up your weapons. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Is that fun in video games, getting power-ups? That's always referred to in video games, powering up your weapons or leveling up your weapons. That's never been what's fun for me in games. This game cracked that for me. I the first mission you play, not so much fun, but as soon as you start, you get your first ability with the glaive. I didn't get it, and then when I got it, fun, and then when I got the next ability for it, I was like, holy smokes, amazing. And then the next ability for it, aftertouch, the way that you by purely the design or gameplay aspect.
They call that pacing, actually, because it's giving you something new almost every level, right?
It's totally,
sometimes more
but I was
than
gonna
every
say,
level.
just because of that gameplay mechanic, you can attack situations. Sometimes I would just run and knock guys out with the glaive and then start shooting them real quick. Sometimes I would just use the aftertouch and just take people out, buying the weapons, leveling up my weapons, and start using just weapons. And then it's just
Which one's called aftertouch? I didn't know any of them had names.
Well, aftertouch, is like you can guide it after it's.
Oh, right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like having a sword.
Right.
It's the names that they assign, like whatever.
No, I got that.
But yeah, so I dug the game. You're right. The story is terrible. I'm not, it doesn't even resonate with me at all. And
You probably can't even remember.
The guy,
Some Russian. It's set in Russia.
Russia infected, and the guy's he's not cool looking. I don't enjoy being him, but it's freaking.
Do you agree? Did you have a good time with it?
Well, I sort of had I started the same way that Dan did, where I was like, I've never heard of this. It's probably just I assumed it was a PS3 exclusive first-person shooter that was going to suck. That's when it's a Dark Sector. We got it for the PS3. That's what I assumed. You know what I mean? I thought it was like whatever. Got the box, saw the glaive, went right. Oh, I remember this from like 16 years ago with the guy who throws the thing. Okay, cool. Started playing it. I will say I really disliked a lot of the movement stuff. I thought the cover mechanic was really awkward. I found myself doing somersaults into stuff which I didn't want.
It's exactly Gears of War.
I disagree wholeheartedly. It tries to be Gears of War and fails. Gears of War, I felt like when I figured out how to do Gears of War, I was flipping out from stuff, slamming into things. With this, you do that like. When you go from one wall to the other wall, it automatically takes you off unless you re-hit your thing. I mean, there's just not as good as Gears of War in my eyes. That said, once I got that first thing, the glavey thing, I was like, oh, hello. Once I started figuring out how to do, I'll tell you, there were a couple levels where I was, being attacked by zombies, and I was like, oh, crap. And then I was like, you know what? Time to rock. Down a hallway, found the hallway, stood back there, waited, power glaive, 3 guys out. Waited, power glaive, 3 guys out. So sad. I did it at one point where I shouldn't have been doing it, and it never stopped sending zombies, and it never got boring. And finally I was like, I guess I should just go up there, because I was supposed to get on some big gun and blow something up that causes them to not come at me. But literally for maybe 10 minutes and I was like getting my timing down on the orange overpower charge.
That was tough, I have to say. That was a little bit funky.
But that was fun, because that also reminded me of Gears of War, where I was like, this is so perfect. It's giving me that, and also sort of like the ring system in Last Odyssey.
Yes.
It gives you that thing of, here's how this works. You pull it throws, and then here are little ways where in timing it correctly, it rewards you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Gears of War for me kept coming up a lot. And if nothing else, this game really got me excited for Gears of War 2 because I really missed the cover mechanic, the weight of him, and feeling like I knew how to control him to do the things. But I love the glaive. I had a blast. I played it for a good amount of time.
I think that this game proves to me that, at least in video games, derivative isn't always bad.
Yeah.
Isn't necessarily bad. It doesn't come hand in hand. Oftentimes it is. But this game is Gears of War. I mean, I was shocked to discover that it's not the Unreal Engine. It looks like that. It feels like Gears of War. Every single thing you do in the game, other than the glaive stuff, is exactly Gears of War. But that works. It works in Gears of War. It works here. And I agree with both of you guys. This is an unexpectedly very good game, and I was sad that I had to give it up and pass it off to you guys.
So was Dan.
I told Alex when I handed it off to him, I was like, I'm covering my face. Like, can you bring that with you?
Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's only 10 chapters, and I got to chapter 8, and I was like, but I can finish this before I have to give it up.
I know, me too. I was squeezing out the minutes.
Yeah, and there's cool. You agree completely with what you said, that they do a great job of adding new things to do every time, and those new things to do, you get the elements, right? All the sucking the elements of things,
and
ice
exploding.
and fire, and exploding it. Yeah. And each of those things that they add gives you a new way to approach the problem. The vehicle section in the game is better than the vehicle section in Gears. I mean, I think it's
I
a
like
very
that
good
you
game.
could throw the glaive into electricity or fire,
Yeah,
and it would be
the elements thing, yeah.
That was so. And then you have to figure out how to get light the fires and then keep the fires
Puzzles
lit.
are they're not hard, but they're
No.
interesting.
Yeah,
and
interesting enough.
It's just it's a very competent, solid game, and I recommend it to everybody. I'm glad it's not something we overlooked.
Yeah, most
So
definitely.
yeah, rock on. All right, we're back with the comic book section, always trying to fit these in. And our buddy Scott over at, what is it called, the Fantasy Shop?
Yeah, he's
fantasy
a
shop.
fan of Dignation as well, and came up to me in the St. Louis show, gave me a stack of books to read, and one of them was a book
which-
that we wanted to read.
Yeah, it's Scott Pilgrim, and it's by Brian Lee O'Malley, right?
Yes, sir.
Written and drawn, and it's a book that has gotten some buzz, especially lately because there's a movie being made, going to be directed by
Edgar Wright,
the director of
Shaun of the Dead and
Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz and Spaced.
And rumor has it it's going to star
Michael Cera as Scott Pilgrim.
that you may know from.
Arrested Development and Superbad. Keep doing it. I'm a dick because.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so Scott Pilgrim, it's a manga style book, which means it's got the smaller format. We read the first trade. I think there's already 4 out, I believe, and there's going to be 7. Is that correct?
I don't
Something like
know.
that.
Yeah.
It is about the eponymous lead character, who
A hippopotamus?
falls for a Amazon.com
.ca.
Yes, there could have.
rollerblade delivery lady, woman, girl. And over the course of the book, will have to defeat her 7 evil ex-boyfriends. And it's a kind of a mix of very small, intimate character, kind of regular day living in high school and post-high school.
A top shelf book.
Yeah, and mixed that with a lot of really kind of rad video game references and almost over-the-top
Fight sequences.
fight sequences. Yeah. This is a book that I hadn't even read until we give it. What were you gonna say?
So that description sounds like everyone who watches our show should go buy this comic book.
Yeah. But you think?
No. Oh,
They're doing the thing.
Okay. But I think they should do that.
Oh.
The crazy thing. I mean,
do
you're
you
shocked
think?
by this because
I think they
I had
could
read
like
this a while ago
Yeah.
and I didn't like it. Granted,
I accept
read
your
it.
apology.
I read it under very weird circumstances. Much like I was saying about movie theater experience, the experience I had reading it was funky. I actually was going through it was about a year and a half. I was at these horrible girl issues that were happening while I was reading it.
And it's a book about girls. and
Yeah, I was
issues.
like in this funk, and but in rereading it, I loved it.
I thought you would. I was like, Dan, you should reread this.
I know. I'm so. This is gonna be a recurring theme in today's episode. I'm so glad that you had us read this because something I had originally dismissed. You'll find out. But it is so good, guys, and it really is the ultimate book. I mean. What it is
not
like,
an ultimate
I think
book.
also it's the way
Scott Pilgrim.
the way it's drawn. I remember when I first read it, it was sort of hard to differentiate characters and stuff, and I
It's
got
very
lost.
simplistic looking.
Right. But
That manga stuff.
what it is for comics is it's aggressive and meta and like Lock, Stock, or Snatch, with freeze frames and titles that describe people. Like remember the beginning of Can't Hardly Wait, where it had like the yearbook pictures of the guys. Like it's this or Fight Club when it had like the IKEA furniture and it's like a comic book that does that, where
Yeah.
it's like and.
I knew you were gonna like it as soon as I saw the first thing that said
Title.
2 hours later or something.
Yeah,
And I was
exactly.
like-
Do you like it?
I was
Do you
like,
like it?
Dan's gonna love this.
And
Yeah.
You know, I did enjoy it. This is not my kind of comic book.
Right.
At all. I'm not a big fan.
Capes and cows,
of-
baby.
Yeah, capes and cows. Like I'm not a big fan of. I like my comics to be funny as they're kicking ass. I don't like my comics to be funny.
Well, the last
and sometimes they kick ass.
bit of it was a little.
But it's all from a moment. And I also don't like my comics, I think, set in like a super reality. I don't know. It's just like, I feel like this is like
Wait, what?
watching an
That doesn't make
independent
sense.
movie. This is like the difference between watching an independent movie about a relationship or family drama and then
Juno.
right, which or even a good one.
Oh, snap! You did it!
Yeah, 'cause I hated Juno. But it was like watching an independent movie, like very like character driven and all this stuff, and even if it's funny, and seeing like Iron Man, you know what I mean, or seeing like even not Iron like action movie, and for me it's like. It just doesn't seem. It seems like a waste of a comic book to me, and I don't know why. And maybe it's because I'm new at comic books.
Did you not like both parts, or just that section how it became that, or were you not even kind of digging it first
both
and then
parts.
He's meaning
When it got
clear
hyper-real.
differentiation. In the beginning, it's very real, very naturalistic,
Sure.
and dealing with him dating this young, kind of inappropriate relationship he's having.
And knives.
Yeah. And then at a certain point, it becomes like, oh, anything is possible, and I'm doing fighting, and lasers come out of my feet.
Honestly, the whole thing to me was just, I was fine with all of it. And again, I'll say, it was fine. It was fun. It was entertaining. It was funny. I mean, there were definitely times that were genuinely funny.
Okay.
But it's not a book I would seek out at all.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it when it became, like when it solidified what it's about. Like I needed a little patience through the beginning to get through okay, well, he's in this relationship. I didn't think that it was particularly insightful, or it seemed a little cliched at the beginning, his relationship with his friends and kind of the way they interacted. I liked the little video game, his band is called Sex Bob Bomb, which is from Mario Brothers. And that's cool. But once it became, you have to defeat my evil ex-boyfriends, I was like, that's cool and smart and funny and interesting. And that's when I got on board, and I'm interested to see what the next trades are about. But let's move on to the next one, because it is Capes and Cowls. And we mentioned last week that we're going to start on our journey of watching Babylon 5, which is written by J. Michael Straczynski, who's also done a lot of novels and all kinds of other stuff, including comic books. He had a long run on Amazing Spider-Man. He wrote the phenomenal Rising Stars, which is heroes before heroes.
That's cool.
And one of the things he did for Marvel a while ago is reinvent their property, Squadron Supreme. Now, Squadron Supreme was an old, almost like an inside jab at DC back in the 70s from Marvel. It's their analogs to the entire Justice League. You got Hyperion, who's Superman. You got Blur, who's Flash. You got Nighthawk, who's Batman. The whole cast is
so funny.
Yeah, and they were brought in to fight the Avengers because in the 70s, all the people wanted to see is JLA versus the Avengers, and the two companies couldn't make it happen. So they're like, well, we'll just write our own JLA and bring them in. So anyway, so this property has been completely reinvented by JMS, and we read the first trade. I've read quite a lot of it, and unfortunately, it gets a lot different. At a certain point. But the first trade is about the discovery of Hyperion in much the same way that Superman is discovered crashing to Earth. But the take on this series is that what if this happened? What if these superheroes that are definitely based on the classic Justice League characters, what if they happened in the real world right now? What would that be like? How might that play out?
What if DC characters were treated like Marvel characters?
Well, even more than Marvel.
I know.
Like,
I know. I'm just saying.
Dan's like,
Batman Begins. The Robin Hood Prince of Thieves.
yeah, well, maybe, but I think even more extreme. It's almost geopolitical.
Yeah.
It's Capes and Cowls. Did it hit your target?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to read the rest. Yeah, no, I mean, it's great. This is
This is what you like.
This is what I like. You know what I mean? Like, it's now time, which is fine. You know what I mean? But super. And then it's also this like cool, hyper realistic, not realism, if you know what I mean. Like, it's really how super non-realistic things could affect our actual reality, rather than let's create this Gotham City. Let's create, the big one from Metropolis. You know what I mean? Like, it's not New York, it's not blah, blah, blah. Which is also kind of what I get from Ultimates, is sort of like, it's now-y,
Right.
you know, but not in there.
Oh, I should also say the artist on this is Gary Frank, and I think the art is gorgeous. I don't know how
Yeah.
you feel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with
Dan, did you dig it? It's not.
Yeah, well, here,
you
check,
tend to like.
check it out. What?
Throw it,
Say that,
throw it, lady.
because okay, here we go.
You got high pitch.
Ready?
Yep.
So this is another one that people have been telling me to read forever. Forever.
Yeah, Jerry gave me
There
that.
were two things that kept me from finally picking up this book.
Capes, cows.
The first thing was Rising Stars.
Have you read
I
that?
loved the first issue of Rising Stars. I remember picking that up when it came out in love. And I remember being very confused why anyone who read comic books liked Heroes, because it felt so similar to so many comics, but Rising Stars being the main one. So I was always so shocked. I was like,
And the 4400 for that matter.
well, and frickin' this comic book now I come to realize, which is very similar to Rising Stars, and we can talk more about that later. But the second thing that kept me from reading this book is another comic book called Supreme, which is what I thought people were talking about. Do you remember Supreme?
Of course,
Yes.
the Rob Liefeld.
Yes, in the era of Savage Dragon and all those things was okay. So that's what I always thought Supreme Power was. I thought it was Supreme. And I thought it was by the guy who did Rising Stars, which is also, okay, first of all, I loved Supreme Power. Loved it. And it is in my wheelhouse, because it is like Powers and an Alias and real world superhero stuff.
Talking about the Bendis powers
Yes.
and the Bendis alias, not Alias the TV show.
Correct, sir. Loved it. I loved the transitions, like the segues from scene to scene. The what I love about Joss Whedon stuff, where it's campy but it's profound at the same time. When she's like a storm, when the blur is running and they haven't discovered him yet, and the mom is saying, oh, it sounds like there's a storm. They hear thunder. It's like, yeah, it sounds like a storm's coming, which like on the surface means what it means, but when you really, it has so much more meaning behind it in the grand scheme of this world and life when you think
Yeah,
of it.
I agree. I think it was always, when it was coming out, it was, first coming out, it was always the top of my reading pile week to week when I was buying it in issues. It's a fantastic work. I also recommend Rising Stars. I think it's great. But Rising Stars had problems. He had gotten a contract dispute, and I think that's one of the reasons he started doing this. Is just like, I could go do this for Marvel and make money and have control and all that stuff. But yes, it's fantastic. The thing I like the most about it, other than how the art is awesome, great, but the thing I like about the story is how he seems to have thought through how all of this would really play out. How, and there's horrific elements to it. I mean, it's someone with that kind of power crash lands on Earth. People are gonna freaking notice, and not everyone's gonna like it. And the
people
kind
are
of
gonna die.
Yeah, and the kind of
Full on,
political machinations of different powers trying to control what is basically a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
It's very interesting and fun. What?
Do you think that Brian K. Vaughan was reading this? There's a line in it where it said, wow, he could be president or something. Do you think Brian K.
for
Vaughan was like,
Ex Machina?
Ex Machina.
Yeah, he was like, that should be its own
I think
comic."
we're selling him a little short to think that that's where he
Ah.
got the idea.
But well, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Right in, Brian.
no problem. So before we get into our email, we would like to thank our sponsors. GameV.com is the place to upload and watch your game footage. And we were talking about some of the other functions that they had, especially the highlight function, but we want to mention now, there's a clan function.
Ooh.
So as a clan or a guild, you can set up one account that all of your members can post under.
Sweet.
Wow.
Right?
Sweet.
So if you're like in a clan, like you've got do they do clans in COD 4? Mm-hmm. So you got a COD 4 clan. You can sign up for an account associated with that clan so that when you post it, it doesn't even look like it's coming from your username. It's all under the umbrella of your clan. Which is great for clans to go clan v clan, stuff like that. So head over to GameV.com, sign up for an account, start posting your videos today.
Also, head over to GoDaddy.com. They can give you domains as low as $1.99. They give you easy startup software and lots of fun to be had.
I agree.
If you want 10% off your order over at GoDaddy.com, use our promo code TRS and the number 1 when you check out. Let them know that you're watching our show. It'll let us know that you're watching their show.
And it's not.
I love logic.
And it's not TRS and the number 1. It's just.
Well, that's what that is good.
That was me leaning on the TRS one.
Netflix, folks.
Oh, let's get serious.
Okay. We've had our fun.
Yeah.
With GoDaddy and Game.
Let's go back to work.
Let's get serious, all right? Netflix.
Brass
all right?
tacks.
Online renting. You know, Netflix.
Movies.
75,000 titles. 75,000 titles, like HDVDs. But not really, mainly Blu-rays.
I don't even think DVDs made.
Of those crazy amounts of titles, we recommend you rent Shaolin Soccer and Kung Fu Hustle.
Yeah, good ones.
Yeah,
Good ones.
Good ones.
And there's 40 shipment centers, so you get the movie that's the top of your queue basically the next day. Plans start at $4.99 and up. And to get that plan, you gotta go to www. You gotta put all them in, just like George W. Netflix.com/TRS. Who am I and what am I doing
crazy?
here? I don't know what
Are
happened.
you a CJ Sherman?
I felt like a Saturday Night Live guy. All of a sudden, I had to do that
Something.
voice. All right.
All right. Well, now that we're back, we can answer an email. How's
Don't
that
encourage him.
No, don't you send in emails about how good that was. All right, so this email is coming to us from the Rocky Mountains. Hey, TRS, my name is John, and we believe it may be Heher?
There was a debate as to how to pronounce your name, John.
Heher or Heher?
Heher.
But it's Heher.
So how would you say it?
How many
at home?
pronounce it? That should be our poll. Is it Heher?
Poor John. How many of the H's are silent in your name, sir?
I love it. That's amazing.
Dude, that's got to be the poll.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's got
No,
to be.
it's all silent H's. It's just Okay, anyway. I'm from Austin,
He
Texas.
just clicked unsubscribe.
I know.
He calls us like
John.
He emails us like, by the way, douchebags, it's
Yeah.
Dom or some shit.
It's
yeah.
dumb. Whatever. I'm from Austin, Texas, but I go to university in Denver for school. I was flying back to Denver at the end of spring break, or from Denver at the end of spring break, or to Denver at the end of spring break.
I think Glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah. On a Frontier.
Uh-oh.
Wait, no, here. On Frontier Airlines, have it, which has a TV on the back of every chair. I was watching.
I can read it if you're
No, it's me. This is my job. I was watching GSN, Game Show Network, because I love game shows. And who did I see on an episode of Lingo but one Jeff Kanata?
Not my proudest moment.
Lingo is one of my favorite game shows, and it got me to thinking, what were some of y'all's favorite game shows growing up? Trying to keep it rad in Rockies, John Heher.
But it's weird because not only
First off, you were on Lingo.
Yeah, and it was a while back, and evidently, for some reason, they've started re-showing that recently because a lot of people have noticed.
I know.
Yeah, not my product. You were on a game show.
I was on Tuesday.
Beat the
And we-
geeks.
I was on Beat the Geeks, which I thought I was gonna win. And
I thought I was gonna win Lingo.
I lost first round. Like it was like.
Yeah, dude, you were on a geek show,
Yeah, I
and you
know.
were on a language show.
But then I was also.
I had a
I don't know what
partner,
Lingo is,
and my
but-
partner ruined it for me.
I was also on Russian Roulette with John L. Wahlberg.
Which, as we saw in Deer Hunter, is a terrible, terrible.
It was a terrible game, and I'm surprised that I made it out of there alive, let alone with the millions that I won.
Yeah, I
Which I
did that,
love.
and they're getting to replay that. And what I got out of that was a T-shirt, a Lingo T-shirt. That's the only thing I got
a
for
gift
my day.
certificate for shoes that never came in the mail.
Well, I was never on a game show, so you two snobs better S
Well,
the
let's
F up.
Okay, let's
All right,
talk
let's
about
talk
the game
about
What is your
shows.
game
favorite
shows of our
show?
past.
When I was a kid, my sister and I watched The Price is Right. And we loved the Showcase Showdown. We couldn't get enough of the freaking Showcase Showdown. When they would do the showcases that had a theme, you know, like, this is what you would need if you were living in the Rockies, like John Heher, right? And it would be like a camper and barbecue equipment, you know, and they like do those themes.
Yeah.
For some reason, we loved that.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I was a big fan of the game shows. The Super Sloppy Double Dare can't be missed.
Yeah.
The password is Nitro. You know, loved Password, loved Super Password, loved Win, Lose, or Draw. I mean,
Is that the one with the guy from the Family Ties?
Pictionary, yes,
Yeah.
I loved Win, Lose, or Draw.
I'm sure there's a million I'm forgetting. I loved game shows. Now
What
I
about
can't
you?
stand
I mean,
them.
Double Dare, Win, Lose, or Draw,
yes.
Givens.
But now, first of all, let me just say that you will be lying if you tell me that when you watched Price is Right was when you were homesick from school.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone I know, that is, Jeff, of course, it always happens, but everyone else besides Jeff, this is when they watch Price is Right. Homesick from school, everyone watched Price is Right. Okay.
Well, because you had that or soap operas. That's your
So-
choices.
And how great was the Chips episode
Yeah,
where he
right.
went on Price is Right and the lady guessed the right price?
There are two kinds of game shows in my mind. There are the weird, seedy, like 70s, 80s game shows
You Bet
that
Your
were
Life
on
or
during the
whatever.
daytime that were like all the ones you said, Hollywood Squares. There's one that was like bumper
$20,000
stickers.
pyramid?
Yeah, and like bumper
Oh,
sticker
no, you
one.
mean
License plates.
License plates.
Yeah,
License
license
plate.
plates.
Love that
I
one.
love that one too.
Love that one.
And like yeah, name that tune.
What about
was
Card
on.
Shark?
Name that tune.
But here's my
Heher.
favorite. My favorite game shows, and I think you can call them game shows, were
American Gladiators.
Nickelodeon friends, Nick Arcade, Legends of the Hidden Temple, Wet Wild and Crazy Kids, Wet Wild and Crazy
See, this
Kids.
is the funny stuff.
Guts, do you have it? Mo?
This is the funny stuff. Because
I know, this is my
This is
generation.
the stuff that my little sister watched.
Exactly.
Like the
Who's my age.
Right, I know. But like the Secret Temple or whatever it's
Legends of
called.
the Hidden
Legends
Temple.
of the Hidden Temple. Like, I
Old guys,
remember-
table for two.
Yeah. I was on the No Whammies, Stop.
Oh,
Yeah, see, I didn't know that
Yeah.
show.
I still use
Wasn't
that
that
to
You
this
Bet Your
day.
Life? What is that?
No, that's
What was that one? No Whammies, Press Your Luck. Press
Pressure luck.
Yeah,
no
Press Your Luck
whammies,
was
no
great.
whammies, no whammies.
All right, old guys. Anyway, yeah, I think that's all the Nick. There was, I mean, a bunch, but all those were like
Double
my
Dare
favorite.
and all that stuff.
That was my
Family Double Dare.
on your mark. Get set. Go. Did it. Did it. What was the one though that was kind of like Double Dare? What was the one that was kind of like Double Dare? I hope you watch this.
Family Double Dare?
Very young kids who at the end it was a thing of toys and they had like a limited amount of time to grab all the toys they could possibly get and like run real quick. You know what I'm talking about?
That's like
Supermarket Sweep.
Supermarket Sweep.
I love
That was on some
That
weird
was like
channel,
a dream
right?
come true.
Because I kept going, get the turkeys! Get the turkeys! 10 turkeys!
What channel was that on? That was on like a bizarre channel.
It was on the shopping network or whatever.
Yeah, it was like a weird channel.
All right, well, it's.
Well,
What
thank you,
was
John
yours?
Heher.
Favorites.
All of those.
Okay, cool.
We,
You didn't hear him screaming just a second ago?
Dude, loved,
Oh, and which
loved
ones did
me-
you like?
Butterball.
Loved me some Supermarket Sweep because you'd be like, go for the Swiss chocolates.
What is your
moron."
problem? Why are you grabbing fruit?
I know, steak. Anyway, well, thank you, John Heher, for sending that in, and please email us back and let us know how we've slaughtered your name.
Yeah,
Although
forgive us.
I really hope he writes back and says, no, it's John Heher. I'd be like,
cool.
yes.
Oh my
I can't
God.
take my eyes
You
off
would
this
like to-
background.
I
It's so
know.
awesome.
Well, we want to thank Jake.
Really? It's very green. Oh, Dan.
Use your imagineering.
There's no such thing as
Your
Santa
imagination.
Claus, guys. Sorry.
Nuts. Anyway, I want to say if you would like
Sorry,
to send us
Anakin.
a thing, what? Hey,
Said,
Anakin?
sorry, Anakin.
Yeah.
I was kidding.
If you would like to submit a background, as our friend Jacob, what? Jake something?
Matthews.
Jake Matthews. Yeah, good one. Good
That's
one.
how my brain works.
And or send us an email like John. Feel free to send those things to fans@totallyradshow.com.
Also, feel free to visit totallyradshow.com for video game news, movie news. It's a really cool stuff on the homepage. We've got a poll, and we've got a link to our discussion forums. Sign up for our forums, meet lots of cool people, discuss this episode, discuss all kinds of crazy stuff, discuss your favorite game shows,
Yeah.
turkeys.
Yeah.
The names.
Yeah, discuss how names are pronounced.
Yeah.
Sounds wonderful.
Discuss whether or not you're going to Comic-Con.
Yes. We
Which-
have to talk about.
Just as soon as I do my space.
All right, talk about your space and then.
It's myspace.com/totallyradshow. Become our friend on that. I don't know the movie. We're going to review it next week. So what you got to do, folks, if you want to know the movie you're going to review ahead of time, you go to the website, totallyradshow.com. The movie will be there.
So we're going to San Diego.
Yes.
We're working with companies.
We're doing something good. We don't know
Some
what
stuff.
day we'll be there, so it's kind
Yeah.
of hard for us to give you exact deets
We're
right now.
probably going to be there the whole weekend. We'll probably go down.
Oh yeah, we are.
What?
Jeff said deets, and I put an emphasis on that right there. Underlined deets, that guy
It's all
said.
right.
Yeah.
But we're going to probably
I
be
learned
down.
it by watching you.
So do you think we'll probably go down Thursday night, right?
Yeah, but
We haven't
won't
discussed this,
Yeah,
so I
I mean,
don't
we
know.
gotta figure that
Okay,
out.
let's figure all that stuff.
Yeah.
But the point
Dates.
is, we want you to be there. We're going to be
Yeah.
doing stuff
It's gonna be
that's going to
amazing.
involve you. So
Yes.
Comic-Con, end of July. Get your tickets now because they
Diego.
sell out. And the hotels surrounding areas, they sell out. So you got it. If you want to go, please come. We want you to come.
We're gonna be out there partying. We're gonna do
beg.
some other stuff.
It'll be alright.
Dan will beg.
Dan, you look desperate.
Dan handle a little bit more. All right, well, that's it for this week's edition of the Totally Rad Show. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
Until next time, we'll see you in San Diego. Where the show's going.
Good rule of thumb. Treat everyone here as you treat your mother.
You forgot to wear the hat anyway.
Treat each of us. Yeah. Fuck. Sorry. Treat each of us as you treat your own mother. Oh, that was good.
That was good.
Perhaps you chastise him too vehemently. Good rule of thumb. Good rule of thumb. Don't laugh.
Now start using your head. That's the lump of.
8 feet above your head.
That's a lump that's 6 feet. Fuck. Sorry.
Why don't you leave him alone, Alex? Napoleon. Why don't you leave him alone, Alex? Fuck me. We got it. I can't do it. I'm gonna just.